cultures that foreground ecological knowledge and background technology are the ones that are truly sustainable. And we do the complete opposite. We are creatures of place. And if we don't become creatures of place again, we will absolutely annihilate every place for every species. The story I guess we're telling is our household and community transition away from what I've called hyper-techno-civility, which is a hyper-urban, technologically focused, ecologically deficit culture. I guess why we were drawn to permaculture all those years ago was that permaculture was a way back to have a connection with the things that make living possible.
We live on Bijoux country in Daylesford in central Victoria, which is 130 kilometres northwest of Melbourne. And we have two boys, Zephyr, who's 16, and Woody, who's 5, and Zero, our Jack Russell. And we call our property Tree Elbow,
which is a 1/4 acre permaculture plot that we've been working on for about 10 years. It was a bare, denuded, bulldozed plot, and we saw the potential of it and also the affordability of it. And very privileged to be able to live here in this part of the world, but also to have access to a bit of land.
It was step by step. There's been lots of little things, well, hundreds of little things that we've given up. We talk about the pivotal moment. We call it the bin liner moment. So we had a rubbish bin, we had our compost and our worm farm scraps and our chook scraps, and Zero, our dog, got the other scraps. We put things in the rubbish bin and it was always in a bin liner. And then one day we realised that we didn't need a bin liner at all. And that was a big moment, just realising that what we didn't need and what we could go without. All of a sudden it was like, wow, we don't need this, and what else can we give up? And then it was trying to live without plastic, and then it was, wow, we don't really need supermarkets.
And then cars.
And then cars.
The average Australian car costs around $15,000 a year with depreciation, wear and tear, petrol licenses, insurance, etc. Factored everything in. That's NRMA and RACV figures. And then the Australian Bureau of Statistics quoted a few years ago that the average household has just over 2 cars. So effectively, the average household in Australia is spending $30,000 on car use. We will go to just a kilometre up the road. We've got the local tip where we get a lot of our materials to build our buildings. We get a lot of our firewood that's just discarded there, and we bring it back and chop it up. We do that on bikes with bike trailers.
And then over the last year, we've turned off the gas to the house. So we did have gas hot water, gas heating, and a gas stove top to cook with. And then it was like we actually don't need those things at all. So
we were putting the other things in place over a number of years.
So to have a wood heater in the house, which can heat our hot water, cook our food, and dry our clothes and heat the home.
Going without is actually saying yes to other things. So going without cars means I don't have to be a full-time builder like I was 10 years ago. I can actually stay at home, grow vegetables, co-homeschool Woody. I also run a bush school. So you're pretty much 5 days a week in the household and community economy. Yep. I'm pretty much 7 days a week.
And so I work 2 days a week for David Holmgren in his office doing publicity and admin duties.
We have this small mortgage, which is part of the big global monetary economy, and we service that mortgage with a little shack that we've built, which is called the Permi Love Shack, and it's on Airbnb. Our household income is under 30,000, so it's considerably lower than the poverty line. And we feel we live extremely richly because we have time. At the moment, our bank is our wood pile and our cellar at this time of the year.
And our seed bank.
And our seed bank and things like that. But our knowledge bank can never be taken away unless, until we die. So teaching our kids that the most important economy is relationships and our knowledges. And those knowledges and those relationships have nothing whatsoever to do with money. Makes us extremely resilient for the things that we face in the future, and therefore we feel empowered. So money to us is not wealth at all. Wealth is time richness, family time, community time, and knowledges, accruing knowledges. There's over probably 150 species here locally, including mushrooms, plants and animals, that mostly feral or weed species that we incorporate into our diet every day. We haven't eaten out of the supermarket industrial food system for 8 or 9 years.
We can't be self-sufficient here on a quarter acre. And even if we could, we wouldn't want to be. We talk about it in terms of community sufficiency, not self-sufficiency. So there's lots of bartering and gift exchanging that happens with other community friends. We're members of a food co-op.
We hold regular working bees at the community gardens, and while they're not high productive gardens, they are learning and social spaces.
Each day is an adventure, and I think having a child in the house, for Woody to wake up and he throws himself at the world.
How big's that? I've been using an app until I was 3. Got my first op an hour when I was 3.
And I said to him last week as I was putting him to bed, how did it feel to be you today? How did it feel to be living your life? And he said, Mum, it was beautiful. So I think that just, having a child to remind you, yes, we're exhausted at the end of each day from working so hard, but just having that childlike wonder as a reminder.
There's no doubting our privilege in this situation. The privilege to have 1/4 of an acre of land on Jajurong country. I think the responsibility people who have historical privilege have is to live better, is to learn and pay respects to Jajurong culture, local Aboriginal culture, is to live responsibly and with low carbon or positive carbon impacts, and look after the world and plant for the next generations. It fills us with joy to live with that amongst all the gloom and all the terrible things going on.
It was just sitting there, that thing at the tip. So we hauled it home, and we knew just where to put it. You'll never be a failure.
For us, it does make a difference to live like this. With every bit of salt that I add to the cabbage, it makes a difference. For every shovel in the ground, it makes a difference. This is not for everybody. This is just how we're choosing to live and how we're responding to the world.
That's really important, that we are just a response to the predicament of our time.
Yeah. And it might not be meaningful for other people who are mapping out for themselves how they're going to live a carbon positive future. But for us, this feels wonderful, this feels resilient, this feels important, and this feels
vital.
Yeah, vital. And this feels like a very rich life for us to live.
Love those endings.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Creatures of Place. I'm Antoinette and this is Jordan and we're Happen Films. And if you've been following us for a while, you'll know that Creatures of Place is our first short film in a year because we've been busy making a feature film. So we're really excited to be back on YouTube making more short films.
We wanted to say a special thanks to everyone who has contributed to making these films. We really couldn't do it without your support. If you want to help us keep making films, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Even just $1 a month makes a big difference.
If you haven't seen our feature film Living the Change, check out the link here. And please feel free to send your feedback about any of our films. We love hearing from you and your feedback makes us and our films so much stronger.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We hope you're as inspired watching these films as we are making them.